right, so this is interesting. Article coming from Phone Arena. I'll link it for you down below in the description. As always, you guys can check it out if you need to. We're talking about consumers supposedly leaving AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. They're making them pay the price for raising prices on them. So we know what just happened here with T-Mobile. They've once again raised prices for legacy customers with legacy plans. We've done reports about Verizon doing this. They have some more on the way. And of course, AT&T is guilty as charged with doing this to legacy customers as well. So it's safe to say this is a new movement between the carriers where they're feeling like they need to charge more to continue to operate legacy plans. But what I think we're seeing here as an end result of their recent actions is that some of this is coming back to bite them from behind. And a lot of it is from partnerships in which they are able to capitalize from, but not as much as they would if you were using their direct service. So we know how MVNOs work. These are mobile virtual network operators here, which lend out, basically these companies are able to use the carriers' networks to provide access to customers. These smaller companies benefit because they can make money off of using the carriers' networks and towers, and therefore, everyone's happy, right? Carriers make a few bucks. These smaller companies now have new clientele that they would otherwise not be able to get. So it's a win-win for most in many cases. But I think what's happening here is these recent price hikes over the last couple of years are scaring many customers away. And this is basically what we're looking at with these charts here. And these are just examples. We have Charter, Comcast, Altice, just to name a couple of companies that are supposedly taking clientele from AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. And of course, again, this is an end result of what's recently happening, but there are some other things that are probably turning customers away as well. Recent cyber attacks, just poor business practices, bad experiences with the carriers, customer service, billing issues. These are all factored into the equation of why customers might be tired of the big three. They like the convenience of having more options, and they're starting to utilize those options. They're starting to become more aware of what's out there. And I think this is kind of a testament to this. This is what we're talking about here. So if we look at these charts here, Exhibit 10, we can see cable industry wireless net additions, and then we have Altice USA, Charter, and Comcast. And we can see that all three have done a superb job in adding customers. And then we can also see Exhibit 11, cable industry wireless subscribers. We see that this is growing. Okay, supposedly there's been 876,000 lines in total added, and these companies now have 18.6 million customers. So they're saying T-Mobile made up 31.1% of the net additions. Verizon accounted for 30.01% of them, and then AT&T was responsible for a 22.8% net increase. They're saying Comcast and Charter, of course, are virtual network operators, and AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile lend out their towers, so they do make a few bucks off of this, but it is not that much of a gain. These companies are the ones actually seeing the profits here, which is why this is interesting. They're starting to capitalize on the bad or poor decision making that the large three carriers have been doing. So I'll let you guys read the rest of this stuff. There's a bunch of other things that you can maybe find useful, but I wanted to bring this to your attention. These are, of course, just some of the companies that are able to take a bite out of what's going on here. We know that Metro by T-Mobile, Mint Mobile, Visible, Total, you name it. Now we have US Mobile, who is basically offering all three carriers. They're offering Verizon, they're offering AT&T with Darkstar, T-Mobile. So there are plenty of other options out there for customers to choose if they're feeling unhappy or unappreciated with their current service with one of the big three. I think it's becoming more aware to them now. And I think that at the end of the day, something will have to give. Carriers are going to have to sit back and kind of reevaluate their approach, because raising prices is necessary to an extent. We can't blame companies for trying to value what they provide. With these legacy plans, there are many customers that are sitting pretty. They're on very good plans with a lot of free lines, a lot of big benefits and perks. So T-Mobile's not really being completely unfair in some ways. It depends on how you look at it, and it depends on, we would have to break down the true value of what each consumer is getting. There are some consumers that are getting an extreme amount of value, and to pay a little bit more money to maintain that service is maybe not such a bad thing. For some customers, the value may not be there, so their price hikes may not be as justified, and they may want to consider going elsewhere if T-Mobile is not the right fit for them. I just think that, you really have to play it smart if you're asking for my opinion, because all carriers are starting to raise prices, especially on older plans. So I don't think it's a really safe haven for anybody to go to any carrier and expect no price hikes. So I did mention the possibility of considering MVNOs for some that are looking to save money. This would mostly be for consumers that don't need the free phones, that don't want all the bells and whistles. Consumers that are on legacy plans, we could say it's safe to say that they're consumers that wanted the most value for the little bit or the least amount of money that they could spend. So now that they're receiving, more prices or price hikes, should I say, on those plans, that's going to be a little less cost effective for them. So that can be out of their budget. So now you have to, reconsider how you're going to manage that price hike or the difference in finances, right, for you. You can either leave, pay it because you think that it's still worth it, and you'll swallow it. You'll swallow the payment and you'll get over it, or you'll look for cheaper alternatives. And those cheaper alternatives are going to most likely be MVNOs. Now, Verizon does have great deals, and so does AT&T. If you have an extreme amount of lines that you can add, there are some benefits that, you might feel are worth it. But again, they're more likely to raise prices than smaller MVNO companies are, is what I've been trying to say. So it really depends on what kind of consumer you are, what your needs are, to be exact, and that is how you can make a healthy decision. But I did want to bring this to your attention because there are actions and consequences to these price hikes, and we can see clearly that, the carriers are starting to lose interest. Consumers are starting to lose interest in some of these larger companies as a result of their price hikes and other things. Like I said, there's other things we have to consider. There's other factors. It's not all about money, but it does play a role for many. So I don't know. Let me know down below what you think of all this. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.